Pros and cons of living in Thailand. This is obviously based on my experience of being here for a little over 2 months. Let's get right in. So, the pros. Number 1, weather. It's December 22nd now. I'm from Europe, and in Europe, most of the parts in Europe, it's extremely cold right now. Extremely cold and dark. And that's just not my cup of tea. I prefer sun and I prefer warmer weather. So weather and clear skies is a pro here in Thailand. Number 2 is affordability. And when I say affordability, I'm talking about rent prices, I'm talking about eating out, food, transportation, basically almost everything that you would need in order to survive. And I do have videos on my channel about how much rent is here. I'm showing you different apartments, how much you can eat for just $2. So if you're interested, you can go and watch them. And probably I'm gonna make another video about how much transportation costs here and what are the options. But that's number 2. Number 3 is this is a big one for me. But this is not, and so many mosquitoes. This might not be for everyone because everyone has different goals or different objectives and different reasons for coming to Southeast Asia. But for me, is no distractions. I'm able to focus on my business. I'm able to, put out YouTube videos just as I do. Oh my god. I've been coughing for a while. It's so annoying. Please excuse me. And I've been able to be more productive than I was back home. And besides that, also able to focus on myself, developing myself as a person, not just professionally. Okay, these are the pros. Now the cons. Number 1, weather. And you may think, oh, how can it be weather also a pro and also a con? Well, sometimes it gets very hot here. And I had a couple of nights when I woke up in the middle of the night because of the heat. I do have an AC in my apartment, which is great, but it was not turned on and I had to turn it on. So intense heat, sometimes you can experience intense heat, and that's a con. Number 2, I thought I have it here. I don't, seems like, because I wrote them down on a paper. I'm gonna tell you number 3. I'm gonna tell you the next one, and then I'm gonna stop the video and check what I wrote in my notes on my phone. Yeah, but the next one is something can happen. And I don't want to scare you off, but something can happen that is different. Maybe something that might not be, I don't know how to say this. Something different can happen here to you that might not, like that the probability of happening to you back home is smaller. So what am I talking about? As some of you may know, I've been bitten by a mosquito and I got a terrible infection on my leg, and I ended up at the emergency room. Now, I'm okay now. I'm visiting the hospital still every day. They're taking care of my wounds and they check my health, but I've been bitten by mosquitoes all of my life, and this has never happened. And it happened here. So it's maybe because my body is not used to it and is reacting in a certain way. Things can happen here, but it is nothing that you should be too worried about. Just, come prepared, have some medicine, get the right vaccinations, and that's it. But that's the second one. The third one, I had to check it on my phone. It was the language barrier and the cultural differences. So maybe it's not the same everywhere in Thailand, or certainly not the same everywhere in Southeast Asia, but in my experience, many people don't really speak English, or if they do, I was having a very hard time understanding them because of their accent. I'm not saying my accent is much easier to understand either. I even though I do hope it is, but that was my experience. And besides that, the cultural differences. So if you want to make a joke that you make a joke that people will laugh at back home, you might not get the same reaction here. You'll not get a bad reaction, but they will not probably understand the joke. And that's just because of the cultural differences. They can also make some jokes that you don't understand, and that's just a small example, but there's obviously other examples. But these can be a downside, because even though people say, oh yes, people in Thailand are so nice and so kind, yes, that's true, 100% true, but you may find that it's more difficult to connect with them because of this, because of the language barrier and because of the cultural differences. They are really nice, but almost every place I've been to, people were very nice. But yes, they are very nice, but you might find it more difficult to connect with them because of this. Communication would be more difficult. But that's it. Those are my three pros and my three main cons of living in Thailand after 2 months.